close your eyes and step back to New York in the early 1950s. The hum of Park Avenue drifts through open windows, mingling with the shuffle of polished shoes across marble floors. In a quiet study lined with books and Fabergé treasures, a slim Winchester .22 rests on a desk. At first glance, it is ordinary. The kind of rifle farm boys plinked with, or a sportsman carried into the woods for rabbits and squirrels. But this one will not remain ordinary for long. Soon, it will leave the realm of utility and pass into the hands of Griffin and Howe, America's most celebrated custom gunmakers. There, it will be stripped, reshaped, and reborn in walnut and steel, each detail refined until even the smallest surface speaks of artistry. At a workbench in the engraver's shop, Josef Fugger bends over its polished receiver. His gravers carve allegory into steel, and his inlays of gold shimmer under lamplight. Fox and hounds, lynx and grouse, vines curling in eternal scroll. This is not ornament, but narrative, history, myth, and symbolism bound into metal. And behind it all stands the patron, Arthur D. Leidesdorf, heir, collector, philanthropist. For him, this is no casual commission. It is an act of vision, elevating the humble Winchester into a masterpiece that will endure not only as a rifle, but as a cultural artifact. This is the journey of the Leidesdorf Model 61, a story of four masters at the height of their powers, united in a single work of art. The Rose and Scroll Fine Gun Journal presents the Arthur D. Leidesdorf Griffin and Howe Model 61, an American masterpiece. Before us lies not merely a firearm, but a cultural artifact of the highest order. This Griffin and Howe customized Winchester Model 61 is a singular work of art, the meeting point of four masters. Winchester provided the mechanical canvas, a sleek slide-action rifle with an internal hammer, hammerless in appearance though not in mechanism, and of elegant proportion. Griffin and Howe, New York's preeminent custom gunmakers, transformed that canvas into a bespoke creation of walnut and steel. Josef Fugger, Austrian-born engraver of legendary training, covered it in gold, scroll, and allegory. And Arthur D. Leidesdorf, a patron steeped in culture and connoisseurship, had the vision to commission it. Together they produced something rare, a rifle that transcends its utility, becoming both object and story, a story told in steel, walnut, and gold. Introduced in 1932, the Model 61 marked a new era for Winchester's rimfire pump rifles. It replaced the old exposed hammer silhouette with a hammerless, solid-topped receiver and side ejection. Sleek, modern, and unfussy. The result was not just improved function, but also form. Broad, flat planes of polished steel that became a blank page for the engraver's hand. Mechanically, the Model 61 was admired for speed and versatility. Its short pump stroke allowed rapid fire, and its cartridge lifter fed 22 short, 22 long, and 22 long rifle interchangeably. It was light, accurate, and eminently practical. That is what makes this rifle's transformation extraordinary. To lavish such attention on a humble .22 plinker was, in essence, an act of artistic rebellion. It declared that beauty could be found not only in the rifles of kings and hunters of Africa, but also in the familiar little Winchester carried by American boys and men alike. By the early 1950s, Griffin and Howe stood at the height of its golden age. Long established as Abercrombie and Fitch's in-house gunmakers, and hailed as the Holland and Holland of the United States. Their clientele included presidents, writers, and film stars. This rifle was born in that rarefied moment. Every element was reimagined in the firm's house style. The standard stock was discarded for a blank of exhibition walnut, sculpted into their distinctive form with its rounded pistol grip, flowing cheek piece, and perfectly cut checkering. The forend was slim and elegant, the wrist sharp and confident under the hand. A polished and engraved steel grip cap, inlaid with a gold hound's head, and a finely checkered steel butt plate anchored the woodwork. The barrel too was elevated, a ramped front sight with a removable hood, a folding express rear leaf marked for 100 yards with a gold line, and a banded sling swivel wrapped around the magazine tube, itself a canvas for fine engraving. Here was the Griffin and Howe philosophy made tangible. No surface plane, no detail left to chance. This level of artistry underscored Griffin and Howe's place above the encroaching factory deluxe market. While Winchester and Remington offered high-grade sporters in the post-war boom, rifles like this proved that true craftsmanship, artistry, and bespoke detail were qualities mass production could only approximate. It was a reminder of why Griffin and Howe remained synonymous with the pinnacle of American custom gunmaking. If Winchester provided the body and Griffin and Howe the style, then Joseph Fugger gave this rifle its soul. Trained in Furlach, Fugger immigrated to America, where his style bore the influence of Rudolf Kornbrath, the Austrian-born engraver who had become one of the most celebrated American engravers of the early 20th century, renowned for his work on Colts and Winchesters. Fugger himself would later be hailed as the unsurpassed engraver of his generation in America. He signed this rifle, a statement of authorship on a work he clearly regarded among his finest. He created not mere decoration, but a three-act narrative. The sporting level. On the left side, a fox pursued by two hounds, each in raised gold, races through a mountainous forest. It is the classic chase, the heartbeat of field sport, rendered in motion and tension. The mythological level. On the right, a lynx encounters two grouse. The lynx, a figure of mystery and hidden knowledge in folklore, confronts the grouse, a symbol of renewal and sacrifice. This is no predator-prey diorama, but allegory, a meeting of secrecy and life's sacred dance. The classical level. Binding it all together, Fugger chose the grape and vine scroll. In antiquity, the vine was the gift of Dionysus, symbolizing abundance, ecstasy, and civilization. In Christian iconography, it became the emblem of rebirth and eternal life. Here, its tendrils embrace the wildness of the animal scenes, giving structure, balance, and timelessness. Even the borders carry meaning. The geometric borders, reminiscent of classical motifs, frame each panel. The grip cap's inlaid gold hound becomes a reminder of loyalty, tying back to the Fox and Hounds tableau. This is not ornament, but symbology. Art history translated into steel. Without Arthur D. Leidesdorf, this rifle would not exist. He was the fourth master, not with hammer, graver, or chisel, but with vision. In his hands, wealth became the raw material of creation and patronage the final art. Leidesdorf, 1918 to 1991, was steeped in beauty. His family name adorned the world of finance, but his heart was anchored in culture. He collected Fabergé with the same discernment that others reserved for Rembrandt's. He served on the State Department's Fine Arts Committee, moving easily among curators and connoisseurs. To him, art was not a pastime, but a responsibility. The act of choosing what to preserve, what to elevate, what to make timeless. So when he walked into Griffin and Howe's New York salon, he did not ask for a rifle in the ordinary sense. He asked for a canvas. He placed before Fugger a humble Winchester .22 and gave him freedom. What emerged was no longer a boy's plinker, but a masterpiece alive with allegory, fox and hounds, lynx and grouse, scroll and vine, gold gleaming against steel. This was not an isolated gesture. In addition to this Model 61, Leidesdorf also commissioned a Winchester high wall engraved by Joseph Fugger, which was featured in American Rifleman in November 1951. The pairing of these rifles shows that his patronage was deliberate and sustained, twin acts of vision that turned utilitarian Winchesters into works of art. Leidesdorf was not merely a buyer. He was a curator of genius, a bridge between artist and artifact. In elevating Fugger's hand, Griffin and Howe's craft, and Winchester's steel, he gave us not just a rifle, but a cultural statement that beauty can reside in the everyday, and that even the simplest object, when entrusted to masters, may transcend its nature. The Leidesdorf Model 61 is far more than a rifle. It is the convergence of American industry, bespoke artistry, European engraving tradition, and cultured patronage. In caliber 22, it carried no pretense of dangerous game or field necessity. Its purpose was higher, to embody beauty for its own sake, to be contemplated as much as admired. Today, Griffin and Howe rifles from this era are among the most coveted expressions of American gunmaking. Those signed by Joseph Fugger stand at the pinnacle, and few can claim provenance as distinguished as this, born from the vision of a patron who understood that true art transcends function. Ultimately, the Leidesdorf Model 61 is not simply an artifact of its time. It is a mirror of timeless human ambition to take what is ordinary and, through imagination, mastery and vision, make it extraordinary. It endures as it was always meant to be, not just a rifle but a cultural masterpiece, a story preserved in steel, walnut and gold.